Tonight, as he said, we are going to be talking about money. Specifically, why do we feel like we need to make money every single day? Why do we feel like we need to trade every day? When we had that heart to heart the other night, OT and I were able to ask you some questions on what you felt like you're struggling with. This was a resounding answer of people feeling like they needed to make money every single day or that they needed to trade every day. Before we dig into it, I would like to mention this. It is important to note that money is a means to an end and not the end itself. Let me say that one more time. Money is a means to an end and not the end itself. There's a lot of unhappy people out here who have lots of money. And there's a lot of broke people who are still happy. Okay? It depends on your vision. If we go back to the vision board week and what is your why? Who are you? This should be the reason why you need to get money, is so that you can complete those goals in your life. Because it is so important to have a balance between your financial goals and your overall well-being. So if we can all agree on that, then let's get into it and we'll talk about, why do I feel I need to trade or make money every single day? These are I did a lot of research on this actually, because I was curious to the answer myself. But these are the reasons that kept resounding: financial insecurity, social pressure, low self-esteem, a lack of purpose, and a fear of failure. Let's start with financial insecurity. How many of us feel like we don't have enough money? Even if we do, a lot of times we may feel like we don't. And feeling like you don't have enough money to meet your basic needs or to achieve your goals can lead to that desire to have more money constantly. That's not the best mindset to have when you're taking trades. Social pressure. In this Discord, we've eliminated the wins and the losses as far as people posting huge gains of dollar amounts, people posting huge losses of dollar amounts or small amounts, because we want to eliminate some of this social pressure. But how about seeing others around us who have more money can lead to a feeling of inadequacy or a desire to keep up with the Joneses, so to say? How many of us feel that sometimes? Maybe we have a brother who does better than us financially. Maybe we have a sister or a cousin or we want to make sure that we're able to buy that new Yeti cup so that when we go to Thanksgiving, we have the right thing. Or maybe we need to have the right Hey Dude shoes or whatever your thing is. And we feel like we got to get out here and keep up with the Joneses. Let's talk about low self-esteem. This can be a killer, guys. And I don't know if you remember that picture. If you've forgotten, you can go back in the vision board section and look at the staircase that I drew off of the Ziglar book. But the very first step to getting the life that you want is creating your self-image. And feeling like you are not good enough or that you need to prove yourself to others can lead to a desire to make more money as a way to gain validation or respect. I can't tell you how many people I know or have met through the course of my life that's the only validation they have. Even certain trading gurus that I know, quote unquote gurus, they use that they use that money or that green day to validate their self-worth. They use that green day to validate their self as a trader. That's not necessarily the healthiest way to live. Let's talk about a lack of purpose. If you don't have a sense of purpose in your life, it can lead to a desire to make more money as a way to try to find fulfillment or meaning. One thing I'll tell you guys, I don't believe money will ever give you that. I know some pretty wealthy people. I've had some nice sums of money myself. I've had little money myself. I've been on both ends of the spectrum. And either way, I never got fulfillment or meaning in my life from money. Money was just a tool for me to do the things that I wanted to do, to show generosity to the people that I cared about, to um, go the places I wanted to go, and to meet my basic needs and my family's. Never once did I find fulfillment or meaning from money. Let's talk about, lastly, a fear of failure. Fear of not being able to achieve your goals, or of not being able to provide for yourself or your family, can lead to a desire to make more money as a way to feel secure. I don't have any issue with somebody wanting to make more money to give themselves more security, more peace of mind, but not when it comes from a place of fear of failure. I feel like when you start living in that mindset, you start attracting that type of thing. But we're going to dig into each one of these individually, one-on-one, and then, of course, at the end, there will be a call to action. Financial insecurity, first of all, refers to a feeling of uncertainty or anxiety about one's financial situation. It can manifest as a fear of not having enough money to meet your basic needs, a fear of not being able to afford unexpected expenses. We've all had that. We've all had that tire blowout that we weren't expecting. We've all had that limb that fell on the roof, and then you got to do the whole, chase your tail thing to get that all. Having money definitely makes those type of problems easier. I'll grant you that. But one thing we don't want to do is live in the place that we're constantly insecure. Financial insecurities can be caused by a variety of factors. We know that. But more importantly, it can lead to a variety of negative outcomes such as stress, anxiety, and depression. Now, if you remember Tuesday night's chat where we talked, we said that those are all things that we're trying to get rid of in our life. Stress, anxiety, depression. We're trying to overcome those things so that we can be a more centered trader. And financial insecurity can also lead to difficulty sleeping, difficulty focusing on daily tasks. It can also cause individuals to engage in risky behaviors, such as high-risk investments or taking on too much debt. And when I say high-risk investments, I mean stuff like trading outside your trade plan, simply. There's ways to help yourself overcome that financial insecurity, listed here, such as reducing your expenses and increasing your income, creating a savings plan and a budget. But the bottom line is, the less financially insecure that you feel and the more secure that you feel, the less that you're going to try to force a trade at a time when conditions aren't optimal, at a time that your trade plan isn't A+, at a time that your setup isn't A+. When we're able to recognize that and we're able to do the things necessary, we can make ourselves better traders, because like we talked about last night, we're not going to force trades for any reason. We're only going to execute our trade plan. This gives us one more layer of security by sewing up the holes, so to say. Let's talk about social pressure. Social pressure refers to the influences that others have on your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. It can come from a variety of sources, including your family, your friends, your peers, and society as a whole. And like we said in here, we try not to focus on profits. We try to focus on the process. But you have a great big world outside of this Discord that you're living in. One thing I would say is that if you feel pressured by the people around you for this monetary gain, or to keep up with the Joneses, etc., you might need to find some better friends, or you might need to find some people that are better to hang out with, because my truest friends don't care if I'm up or down. They don't care if I've got it or I don't got it. They love me for who I am, not for what I have. That's my own 2 cents on it. But social pressure can manifest in many ways, such as feeling pressure to conform to certain norms or standards, feeling pressure to fit in with a group. We all know that. We all, at my old job, it used to be the certain guys all have bass boats, the certain guys all have off-road vehicles, the certain guy, on and on and on. And so you feel like you have to have those things and put yourself in debt or etc., work more overtime to be able to afford that. so that you can fit into that group of people. And I'll say this, social pressure can have significant impact on an individual's life and lead to a variety of negative outcomes. Because if you're not able to afford that $50,000 RZR, or you're not able to afford that $100,000 bass boat, then you start to feel low self-esteem. You start to feel anxiety for why can't I have it? You start to feel depression. You start to feel the need to make risky decisions, to trade outside your trade plan, to gamble inside of trading. And I want the best for each and every one of y'all. But remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And I'm pretty sure you're going to hear that coming up several times over the next couple of weeks. But this is one trade at a time, one day at a time, following the process, trading our plan. That's the true way to get ahead. Anything outside of that is just risky. And I'll also say, in social pressure, I didn't write all this in the slide, but be careful what you look at on the internet. You know, you start looking at Instagram of all these people with yachts. You start looking at all this other stuff, and next thing you know, you're looking at Rolexes. And I find myself guilty of this all the time. I'm looking at Rolexes. What do I need a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 watch for? I don't even wear a watch. I don't wear a Casio G-Shock. I don't wear a Timex watch. I don't wear an Apple Watch. I don't like watches. So why do I need that expensive watch to show off what? Who I am? No. Granted, if I like the watch and I want the watch, it's a gold, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But I'm saying don't let these advertisements that we constantly see on a day-to-day basis as we're scrolling through the internet influence you to make bad decisions. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with watches. I just use that as an example because that's one that convicted me as I was doing this talk for y'all. You know, that's exactly, Danny. Casio works just fine. I keep my phone on me all the time. I've got a clock. For me, the watch that, and I will get a Rolex someday, but for me, it's going to be more of I've got the money to do it, and this is my status jewelry. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to have a yacht too. You know, there's nothing wrong with any of these things as you earn them. The problem is to make high-risk financial decisions to try to speed up that process. That's where the social pressure can have a negative outcome. This is a big one for a lot of people, okay? And I mean, even people who have generally high self-esteem. When you come into the game of trading, it can warp your perception of reality, especially of yourself. How many times have I talked to people that they're a high earner, they're a high achiever, they're excellent in business, they have the life they want, they continue to do the things that they like to do. Maybe they're retired after a long career, maybe they're just getting started, but they've always had success because of their work ethic. And from all those ends of the spectrum, I find that confidence, OT's been saying it all week, confidence, patience, and discipline. I find that when people first start trading, their confidence can get a little shaken and they start to fall into a thing of low self-esteem because it's a new thing. And it's something that's so completely different than how the rest of life typically works. I mean, I know, especially in my own background, hey, if something's not going my way, pound it. Work it harder. Work as long as you can till you can't stand up, you know. And trading is just not that same way. It's more of a be patient and let it come to you type of situation. But people with low self-esteem may have a negative self-image and may be critical of themselves. They may have difficulty accepting compliments or positive feedback from others. They may also have difficulty setting boundaries and may be susceptible to being taken advantage of. Low self-esteem can also lead to a lack of assertiveness, social withdrawal, and a lack of motivation. Low self-esteem can be caused by a variety of factors, including past experiences, negative self-talk, and an unsupportive environment. It can also be caused by mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety, and it can have an impact on your overall well-being and prevent you from achieving your goals. If our goal here is to be consistently profitable long-term traders, we really have no room for low self-esteem in our life. It's only a negative thing. It doesn't mean that we're going to have high self-esteem overnight, but it means that we're going to continue to work on trading inside of our plan so that we can build confidence. Because even if you don't have confidence in yourself at the moment, you're able to have confidence in your concrete trade plan. And if I've said that once, I must have said it 1,000 times, but it's because I believe in it. I've seen it work for so many people over and over and over again to turn things around. And the other thing that I want to say is why this is so important is because, to me, brutal honesty is required. And I take some flack for that sometimes from some people's feelings who I hurt, and I get love for that from sometimes from people who feel like they need their butt kicked. But the truth is, it always comes from a place of love. But the difference in that is that you have to be comfortable and confident enough in yourself to first be brutally honest with yourself. Whether I tell you what, you can tell me that my hair is blue, and I'm not going to believe you. I know my hair is not blue. You can tell me that I'm a short person, and I'm not going to believe you because I know in my heart that I'm a tall person. Now let's talk about trading. What if you told me, hey, Joker, you're a crappy trader. I think you stink. You're not going to shake my confidence. Number one, I'm going to think that you're a negative person, so your opinion is going to be automatically invalidated because you came at me from a negative place instead of with something constructive. But number two, I have faith that I'm an adequate trader. I'm not the greatest trader in the world. I'm not the worst trader in the world. I'm a growing and in growth process trader that's more green than red. Now, if you'd told me, hey, Joker, you stink, a year ago, I'd have said, hey, you're absolutely right. But the difference is what I believe about myself right now. And that's why what you believe about yourself right now, your esteem, whether it's high or low or on point, is so critical because you have to have that and you have to have an adequate representation of that in order to be able to properly grade yourself. Never mind what anyone else thinks. Never mind what Joker thinks. Never mind what anyone else thinks. It's about how can you, let's go back to the data tracking lesson that we did. How can you adequately grade yourself? It's not brutal honesty to have a red day and say, oh, that was an F. Why? Because your scale only goes A and F. If you're green, you get an A. If you're red, you get an F. That's not adequate representation of how to grade yourself, how to analyze your trades, how to get better. So you have to, number one, believe, like OT said, you're a student. You're learning. You're growing. You're in process. How many times have you ordered something online or from a catalog or whatever, and you get the message that says order in process? Okay, well, you've made your order to become a consistently profitable trader. You've placed the order with the universe to say, I can and I will do this. I can and I will achieve my goals. I can and I will build the life that I desire. That's going to take confidence, patience, discipline. It's going to take an brutal honesty with yourself to grow. It's going to take a healthy level of esteem for yourself to say, okay, maybe it's my first day. I've never punched a trade in. I've never executed the first trade. Does that mean you're a good trader or a bad trader? Neither. It means you've never taken one. And that's the first step here when it comes to esteem, is that we have to be able to properly recognize where we are so we can get where we're going. And I know I spend a little more time on this one, but in my opinion, this is one of the biggest factors that affects why do we feel the need to make money every single day? Why do we feel the need to trade every single day? Let's be honest here. If I talk about brutal honesty, but I'm going to ask each and every one of you guys a question. Let's just say you had 1 billion with a B sitting in your account today, this morning at 9:30 when the market opened, and you saw what the conditions were going to be, would you be sitting there trying to force a trade? Maybe it is for you, maybe it isn't. But for me, if I had 1 billion and the conditions weren't perfectly optimal for me to play my edge, then I'm probably going to an F1 race. I'm probably doing that indoor ski thing that they have in Dubai. I'm probably, getting fed grapes by, a beautiful lady on the beach of Belize while a golden suntanned cabana boy makes my wife a pina colada. I'm doing something other than staring at the computer screen full of stress and anxiety. And how can I get in a trade here, and ultimately winding up getting frustrated and saying, that's it, I'm going to blue book it. So if that's the case, that's the same way that we should be doing it here. And I'm going to use a couple poker analogies tonight. But a lot of you guys know that some of us have extensive poker backgrounds. And OT will tell you, you don't play pocket aces the same way all the time. And it's true. It's the same thing as this. We have our trade plan. Our trade plan hasn't changed. But we don't play our pocket aces trade plan all the time the same way. If the conditions are favorable, you push the money out. If the conditions are not favorable, you throw those pocket aces into the muck. Plain and simple. And I know I really drilled down on this, but I want you guys to look at this screen. I want you to go back and look at it. I want you to always be working on that first step of your self-image, because to me, that can really affect how you trade. I know it does with me, and I believe it does with everyone else. Let's talk about a lack of purpose. A lack of purpose can refer to a feeling of not having a clear direction or a meaning in your life. That's why we started that series with who are you? Who are you? What's your purpose? What is your why in life? It can be a feeling of not knowing what you want to do or what you want to achieve. This can be a challenging and unsettling feeling, as it can lead to confusion, aimlessness, and dissatisfaction. During the risk management talk, I talked to you guys about having a simple cutoff for winning and losing. Something that's not about your trade plan, whereas when you execute and where you get in and where you get out. It's not based on execution. Hey, I know if my minimum that I need to make for that day is $50, then I've got a clear goal. If I know that my max loss is $50, I've got a clear goal. So when I have that purpose, I go in, I make the $50, whether it takes me 1 minute or whether it takes me 1 hour or whether it takes me all day. I make that $50 and then my purpose is achieved. Plain and simple. You have a clear-cut goal that you can live up to, that you can achieve, that you can. And I'm not saying if it makes you feel uncomfortable to trade with that type of goal, each person is different, but I'm telling you, it definitely works for me. And knowing when to blue book, sometimes I'm trying to get better on that. But a lack of purpose can be caused by a variety of factors, such as not having a clear understanding of your own values, your interests, not having a sense of what's important to those, and not having a sense of where you want to go in life. Once again, if you have that clear purpose for what you want to do in your life, you make what's called value-based decisions. And I'm going to do another talk on this in a couple of weeks about value-based judgment decisions. But at a certain point, it becomes, is it more profitable for me to sit here and stare at this laptop? Or is it more profitable for me to, A, go read a book and learn? A, go watch a video on self-improvement. A, go watch a video on technically improving my trades and my understanding of the market. Versus watching what's going on right now, which one's going to be more valuable to me long term? If the answer is something else, then by all means, you need to go do something else. Otherwise, you're making a poor judgment decision. A lack of purpose can also lead to feeling disconnected from oneself and others. It can also lead to a lack of motivation and a feeling like you're not making a difference in the world. How many times have I heard that from traders that say, what am I doing? What am I doing here? I'm staring at this screen all day. At the end of the day, I feel frustrated. I feel like I need a drink. I really don't understand what's happening. I haven't been able to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. And I'm just zoomed in, and the frequency's so high, and it's just, let me drink a pint of alcohol. And I've been there myself. Guys. But what that really stems from is because it's a lack of purpose. If you had a more clearly defined sense of purpose for the micro and the macro, then you would be able to make a better value-based judgment decision. It's important to take the time to reflect on what's important to you. That's why, as I've said 100 times, OT and I designed this in order. And that's why we did the What is Your Why series so early on in this, because you must know that. That's why we did the trade plan so early on in this series, because you must have that. You know, these are must-have things in order for you to be successful traders. It's also important to be open to change and to understand that your sense of purpose may evolve over time. Engaging in activities that bring you joy, learning new skills, and volunteering can help you bring a sense of purpose. And I'll be honest with you guys, before me and OT teamed up, my only purpose was to get as much money as the most amount of money that I could possibly get in the fastest amount of time. And it wasn't until OT helped me change my perspective that we started learning and working together, and hopefully I expanded his mind some. We tested each other as friends. We pushed each other's ideas of boundaries some in the thought world. And I understood that God gave me a skill for speech. I truly believe that. And that I could share it with other people. And I knew that God gave OT a gift of technically understanding how this thing worked, and that he could share it with other people, and we could help change other people's life. And it gave us both a new sense of purpose. I still want to be the best trader that I could be. I still want to be a Hall of Fame trader. But it became, how can we help as many people as we can possibly help? And it's been a game changer for me, guys. I'll be honest with you. Let's talk about the fear of failure. The fear of failure can manifest in many ways and can have a significant impact on an individual's life. This is a big one, guys. I saved this one for last because fear, if you remember, the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. I'm going to say that one more time and let it soak in. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Sorry about that. A little bug in my throat. But it can manifest, fear can manifest as not being able to achieve your goals, or a fear of rejection, a fear of not being good enough, or a fear of not being able to provide for yourself or your family. Haven't you always provided for your family one way or another? Haven't you always been good enough one way or another? No matter what your IQ is, no matter how many dollars are in the bank, no matter if you're fat, no matter if you're skinny, no matter if you're muscular, no matter if you're weak, no matter if you're tall, no matter if you're short, no matter if you live on the north side of America or the south side of America, it doesn't matter. You've always been good enough. You're worthy. From the minute you were born, you were worthy, and all you had to do was develop that. But fear, that false evidence appearing real, has led you to sometimes not achieve your goals, to sometimes have a fear of rejection, to have a fear of not being good enough, or a fear of not being able to provide for your family. Well, when you start having that false evidence appear real inside your mind, guess what you start to do? You start to take excessive risks. You start to be overly focused on making huge dollars on every single trade, on achieving success so that you don't fail. And guess what happens? You fail. You start taking higher risks. You start having unrealistic expectations, and you start spiraling into a pit of despair, is the only way I know how to call it. The fear of failure can also lead to feelings of anxiety, stress, depression, and can prevent individuals from taking necessary risk and trying new things. It can also lead to procrastination and a lack of motivation. How many times have I seen this? And we don't talk about procrastination that much, at least we haven't up to this point. But how many times have I had traders that I've talked to that procrastinated really ironing out their trade plan? And I mean writing it down in black and white, tracking their trades, filling in the details section of it as they get more and more data. Why? Why would they procrastinate that when I've told them that's the recipe for success at least 1,000 times over the last 2 months? Why would they procrastinate doing that when OT spent a lot of time teaching them how to perfectly craft a trade plan? Maybe they're scared. Maybe they have a fear of failure. Maybe they're scared that they're going to do all that and it's not going to be enough. But also, maybe it could be a fear of success. Maybe they're stuck in that fear loop that they know if they finally do that and they finally execute that trade plan, that they're going to be successful. And then they're not going to know how to handle it. And they're not going to be able to use those same old excuses that they've always used about how life's unfair, or how they didn't start with money, or how they're not smart enough, or they're not good enough, or they're not the one that's a profitable trader. And what does that cause? The more... Hello? All right, I just server muted Skadoosh. I think he might be playing a game while he's listening to this. Scabby Boy. Skadoosh, that's your new nickname, is Scabby Boy. But from this, it can cause a lack of motivation. The more that you procrastinate and the more things that continue to get on top of you mentally, the more that you have lack of motivation, because you start to feel overwhelmed. And that's not a place that you ever want to be. And if you ever start feeling overwhelmed, you have to just take one small win at a time. You have to cross one small thing that's achievable off the list, and pretty soon you start to pick up momentum. And that snowball starts to roll. You start to gain traction. You start to gain progress. You start to get bigger. Everything starts moving to turn the other direction. But it's also important to understand that failure is a natural part of life, and that it is through failure that we learn and grow. It's important to develop a growth mindset, which is the belief that one can improve and develop through effort and learning. It's also important to set realistic goals and to understand that setbacks and failures are both opportunities to learn and to improve for the future. And Mikey, I think you're not the only one that may have a fear of failure. A lot of us have fear of failure from the way that we were raised, from the way that our professions are, like you say, for a variety of different reasons here. The thing is, with trading, we can't allow that fear of failure to seep into our trades if we intend to be successful. And there's really only one way to prevent that I know of. Obviously, for each and every one of these, you could talk to a qualified therapist if you'd like to. But in my opinion, in the call to action tonight, there's really only one way for you to overcome these in one move. One fell swoop, as they say. And tonight, this is going to be a call to action that you absolutely must achieve in some way, fashion, or form. And this is another poker analogy. Why do you think they play with chips at the poker table instead of with dollar bills? Why do you think that they play with chips at the blackjack table instead of $100 bills? because they want to separate you from thinking of it as money. Would you play $500 a hand in blackjack if you had to put actually 5 Benjamins out there every single time? Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But would you shove all in your pot in a game of poker if you have $25,000 sitting in front of you? You might think twice. You might play a little different if you had the actual dollar bills. You have to find a way to separate trading from money mentally. And when you're able to do that, you'll find that you only take the trades for the best quality reasons. You only take the trades because they met your setup, because they're inside your trade plan, because they fit what you're trying to do. And you have no force in trades because you're financially insecure. You have no force in trades because you have a fear of failure or loss. You have no keeping up with the Jones mentality of why you have to get this money today, and you become focused on how can you be the best trader that you can possibly be. And when you adapt that mindset of, man, it's not about the money. I want to be the best trader that I can be. I need to be following my process as best as possible. I need to be making progress every chance that I have an opportunity to make progress. And when you separate that mentality away from the amount of money, then you will find that the money will flow to you naturally because you're doing the best at a job. Think about the people in life who make the best. Let's talk about Chick-fil-A for an example. Not politically, they can do whatever they want to do behind the scenes, but let's talk about how their drive-thru operates. It's actually a proven fact that Chick-fil-A is the #1 fast food company in all of the United States, and not in all of it, but in more than 50% of it. And they haven't been around that long. But it's because of the way they operate. And how do they operate? They try to be the best. They try to make your order right. They try to do it as fast as possible. They try to make sure that you get good hot food or good cold food if it's supposed to be cold. They try to make sure that you have the number of sauces. They're pleasant. How many times have you went to Chick-fil-A before and heard, "My pleasure"? They're friendly, they're respectful, and they are the best at their job. Well, what happens with people who are the best? The cream always rises to the top. The wheat always separates itself from the chaff, so to say. It's always going to happen. And the more that you desire to become the best trader that you can be, the more that you're going to rise above, and the more that the money is going to automatically be attracted to the best. It's just a law of the universe, guys. I can't explain it any better than that. But I can say that the sooner that you're able to separate money from your trading, whether that be turning off your profit and loss, whether that be, I don't know how to help you separate yourself from trading mentally. Besides, for me, it was turning off my profit and loss. And that really helped me to see, am I trading right, or am I holding a trade because I'm down 30%? Am I taking too many trades because I'm down 50%? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what I can tell you is that if you dial in and go back and watch some of these slides and analyze yourself to which one of these is causing you to feel like you have to trade or make that money every single day, and you work on that and you're able to separate that feeling away from your trading and focus on being the best trader that you can be, you'll have more money than you ever need. And I guarantee it, guys. And I don't offer a lot of guarantees in life. But with that being said, I'm going to turn it back to Mr. OT. I hope that this has helped some of y'all, and especially on a day like today where there should have been several blue books.